know you be the motherfucker stuck in the muck. I pull my jeans on, tell me I look good on the top. You just a bitch ass pussy that's gon' pay all my bills. Empty your pockets, motherfucker, I'ma go by my pills. I got an ego, it's a monster that needs food every day. You're just a weak MC, another meal on my plate. My wordplay is vicious like a lion up in the sun. I want my cock just like a Glock, I don't know which is more fun. You wanna live, fucker, but you gon' die, fucker. You try to mess with Click Tight, you gonna lie there. In your blood, fucker, you need a white fucker. Just try to step to this mic and you get sniped, fucker. So why you crying, fucker? Because you dying, fucker? Shit, I'm eternal in this world, you lily lime, sucker. I bless your soul, fucker, I'll let you go, fucker. Down in the hole 6 feet deep, you dirty mole, fucker. I'm a soldier, brother, that sold your mom away. You need to pay for that bitch to have a better day. Don't matter anyway.
Take it to him.
Don't matter anyway. Thank you, Click Tight, for bringing us that wonderfully positive music at the beginning of all of our shows. Click Tight, hip hop badasses. Watch for their album dropping early next year. Welcome to Dangerous Thoughts. You've seen this show before, or maybe you haven't. Maybe you're tuning in for the very first time. You should stick around because you don't know what could happen on this show. It gets weird. I'm your host. My name's Monumente Reme.
I'm your co-host, Tyson Strasberg.
And we both said our names right, which is a wonderful first start. Want to have a kiss?
Hold on there.
All right. So wherever you like to hang out on social media, guess what? We're there. So check out our website, dangerousthoughts.show, for links to all of that lovely social media.
Links in the description below. And I'm the guy that keep in the basement, your producer, Cassie Rumor.
Yeah, and if you'd like to come on the show and you'd like to speak to us or our guest, you can actually tweet that basement guy on X. Do they have a different word for tweet now instead of
Zeet?
do you zeet?
You zeet now.
I guess so. So if you'd like to join the show, the show, that's hard to say. If you'd like to join the show tonight and be a guest, use Zeet, our basement, our on X, our basement producer, Subscript Pirate.
I'll have whatever he's drinking.
Yeah, at Subscript Pirate on X. Just zeet one over. Just zeet a message over to him.
Don't die.
By the way, all of us have COVID. Everybody here. We're all dying. My producer's dying. I'm dying. The kids upstairs are dying. It's horrible. This could be our final show. So if you want to be on, take advantage tonight and Zeet, our producer. He'll hit you with the link to StreamYards, or he'll hit you with the link to our Discord, which was streaming across the magic scroller Pee-wee's Playhouse thing earlier. And there it is again. So that's our Discord link. And if you want to come on the show and you don't want to show yourself on camera, you just want to come on anonymously like some pussy ass wimp, you're totally allowed. And you can just talk and you don't have to show your ugly ass face. You can just chat with us and show us your beautiful voice and ask questions to, our guest. Did I ever tell? I don't think I've ever told anybody on this particular version of the program. If you've been watching Dangerous Thoughts used to just be a talk show on Zeet. But now it's, this video format thing that we're doing, and it's fun. But I don't think I've ever told the video format cast or cast. They're cast because they can come on the show. But I haven't told them about a song that I wrote recently, and I want to sing it for you guys.
Note for note.
Yeah. Like to hear it? Here it go. Once around the curse in the universe, there was a cat named Brew, and she was so cool. She was so cool. She was so cool, and then she fucking died. And I had to bury
And
her.
there go our watchers, our viewers just died with it.
Well, look, it's all about perspective. It's a beautiful universe. You get these wonderful things. They're called cats, and they're lovely, and you can purr and you can hold them. And life is about love and support and friendship and empathy. And then we all die and rot and become worms. But it's the perspective that you keep. It's that happy place in the middle that counts. It's like me. I have a broken penis. When I was younger, I had this perfectly straight penis. It was like perfectly straight. It even arced up the right direction when it was erect. I used to stare at it just with utter pride and just happiness. And then when I was, I don't know, 30 something, my girlfriend, she's my wife now. She sat on it the wrong way. My heterosexual life mate, we were trying that reverse cowgirl thing, and she broke my dick. And now my dick is crooked. And so I sort of have to like, if you're doing the sex thing, I sort of have to that's what I
Do
look
the
like.
washing machine? What is that?
It's sort of like, that's kind of my groove now.
Okay.
It's the Kenmore.
No, it's like watching JFK back and to the left, back and to the left.
Yeah, it's pretty much that's what it felt like too when it happened.
Oh, dead.
And my girlfriend, my wife, my heterosexual life mate, she's a witch as well. And I don't tell many people that, but she's a witch. And one last thing I wanted to share with you guys before we start the show is she spent $10,000 on my credit card. $10,000 without telling me. And she spent it on charms and magic necklaces and crystals that were supposed to help me get more popularity and money. And then she got us this candle of these two lovers that we had to sit with for 15 minutes a night and close our eyes and picture the future going into the candle, creating the manifestation of lots of money and success in our lives. And I did that for 10 straight nights after she spent all that money. And then like 2 days ago, this guy that I didn't even really know very well gave me $250,000 to work on my movie.
You know, it's like Samantha Stevens, wiggle the nose, boom.
I don't think it had anything to do with any of her shit. I just think it has to do with my my good techniques at raising money. The fucking candle. Give me a break. But she's a witch, and if you ever want to have a burning party, and I'm in the right mood, give me a call. No, I love her. She's probably not watching. God, I hope she's not watching. Anyway,
yes, yesterday before we get into the show, this is so true, and I wish it wasn't, but it was a true story. Mike was laying on the bed behind me, and the dog gets up and licks his face, and my dog does that all the time. The dog arched her back in a way like she was going to take a dump, and I told Mike, I said, Mike, she looks like she's about to take a shit. And Mike laughs it off like it's nothing. Then boop, boop. Now at this point, I had 2 courses. My first instinct was to grab the dog, like just smack it off the bed and grab the bounty and try to pick up what I could as quickly as I could before it stayed on the bed sheets. But I didn't take that course of action. I couldn't. I was paralyzed with laughter just because the dog took a dump on him while she's licking his face. It was beautiful. I laughed so hard. I actually had a hard time breathing for like half an hour. I was just in one of those. I mean, in a million years, I never would have thought, the dog's going to take a shit on his chest. It was beautiful.
When you said bloop, bloop, I pictured it going on the bed, not right on his chest. So it was art.
Yeah, a dog arches it back when it's about to poop, and she was sitting on him normal, doing the licking his face, and then she arched her back like that. I'm like, I was like, she's gonna take a shit. Oh, she's taking a shit.
That's really funny. I think we're going to have a great show because just before the show, I took a big poop. So I think we got a good one coming tonight, even though it's about very serious shit.
Oh, I feel like it's gonna be a load. Yes.
Yes. All right.
The
So
military industrial comedy.
yeah. So tonight, our topic is the military industrial comedy complex.
Yeah, that works too.
The war machine, the con, the reason that economies stay alive, inflation, all that stuff. And we have our special guest with us tonight, our very own deep state operative, Christopher Thompson. And we love to bring him on right now. How are you, Chris? How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good, man. So when we first started, when we had you backstage before the show, first of all, thank you for coming on the show tonight and having fun with us and talking about this topic that can be a little heavy. And we're going to go there. We're going to go down that mountain. But every once in a while, I'm just going to break format and we're going to throw out some weird questions out there that we all have to answer and try to keep this thing funny. And at the same time, take it seriously. See if we can split the middle somehow. So I was asking you about your opinion on Israel and Gaza at the moment, and I'd like to hear from somebody that has been in the service for 16 years. How do you feel about what's going on over there, just in a general sense?
Well, all in all, it's just like a total shit show. You've got one side claiming this thing, the other side claiming the other. Like I said earlier, it's a more of a war of information than it is anything else at the moment. Mainly because we've got the Hamas claiming that they killed 500 people in a bombing in a hospital when it was only 5 minutes after the supposed bomb struck, and it turned out to be a Hamas rocket. So again, it's trying to figure out which truth, which is not truth. Israelis really can't be discriminate this time like they used to. We ran into the same thing with ISIS years back, but we got the Hamas. They're horrible, horrible people. I feel bad for the Palestinians because they're caught in between two people that want to kill each other. But Hamas is they use people as shields, and unfortunately, when that happens, there's going to be civilians caught in the crossfire. Yeah, just kind of a bad place to be.
What do you think happens? I'm curious. I had a couple questions, but when you were talking, I had a good one. But now I've got a mediocre one. What happens if Hamas, which is a pretty funny name, it always reminds me of hummus, and hummus is just a nasty, weird food. And I'm like, I'm going to be scared of hummus? Why should I be scared of hummus? Oh, because they've got rockets and they're crazy and they cut girls' heads off. And yeah, they're freaky people. And they're doing it for God. Anyway, what do you think if the concert gets the terrorist attack that happened, and instead of Israel getting revenge and going back after Hamas, what if they just lit candles, did the old kumbaya thing, the peaceful thing, called it a tragedy, and really labeled the disgusting nature of the attack for what it was, but didn't retaliate?
I think
why don't we do that more often?
Well, that makes them come back again even harder, because it's like, oh, we got away with it entirely, we're going to do it again. You don't retaliate, you don't try to take back what was taken. They're just gonna come back for more because they don't see the resistance, they don't see any repercussions, and that's kind of why Israel has to do what they're doing. Is this they got attacked, a lot of innocent people were hurt, a lot of foreigners were hurt, mind you, there were some Americans in there too. they got to do something, or else they're gonna be laughed at, not just by hummus. God, you got me doing it too. Not just by
Right?
hummus, but by their neighbors and by the rest of their world is gonna be like, you let them get away with this? Why aren't you doing anything? So it
You know, I
kind
I
of
have
have to.
to agree with them for those points, but in addition, you also make your enemies stronger because they think they have the moral standing, right? So if Israel didn't retaliate, then they would say to the rest of the world, "See, we were right. They didn't even they think we're right. They didn't retaliate." So you help make their position stronger. Uh, but
But
they really
even
are
if the
caught.
whole American media and the Israeli media was like, look at how disgusting this attack was. Let's burn candles and
If you mean
show
could
them
they be
how better
shamed?
we
Could they
are.
be shamed out of it? The answer is no.
Yes.
They will not be shamed. I mean, if they can rape little children, decapitate children as young as 5 and 6 years old, then no, they can't be shamed on media. That's just nothing could shame them.
So,
Um,
and
but
along the same lines, I'm going to ask the same question over again. Go ahead and finish. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish.
well, they're also kind of caught in the middle because if you over retaliate, right, then you have innocent Palestinians that feel the sting of that, and that creates an animus towards Israel, and that animus towards Israel,
Creates-
even if they do get rid of Hamas, something else will take its place. Some anti-Israeli militant thing, whether you call it ISIS, Al Qaeda, Hamas, whatever, you give it whatever name you want. But if they overpunish Palestinians, innocent Palestinians, then they're gonna create more people like Hamas. So it's a really fine needle and thread you have to do.
So, my opinion 20 years ago, 9/11, was that when they knocked our trade centers down, those terrorist guys over there. Look, I'm not a military insider. I don't know how strong they were at the time. I don't know how big the threat of terrorism was really at that time. Obviously, they knocked down our World Trade Centers. It was pretty gnarly. But I seem to be the only guy driving around town going, hey, let's light candles. Let's call this a tragedy. Let's not go to war. We chose to go to war. And I feel like over the last 20 years of airstrikes in Iraq and Afghanistan and all the devastation and all the war and all the tragedy and innocent families killed and bad guys killed as well. But I feel like we've created a bigger terror problem by declaring a war on terror. What do you feel about that, Chris Thompson?
Well, that's kind of a tough one because I mean I was a freshman in high school when that happened, so I wasn't even a full grown adult, but I do know it was rough. I know there are a lot of mixed feelings about either taking the bull by the horns and going after them or just kind of doing nothing. But again, if we'd have done nothing, they might have hit something bigger or harder next time or something. They fortunately they hit targets with only 3,000 people. What if they hit a football game or something later on? So they got you got tens of thousands of people at one of those events. So,
And they had tried. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
I know they had tried to knock down the Trade Center on a number of occasions, at least two that I can think of.
Yeah, one time they tried to like blow it up with a car bomb, but the structure didn't allow it. It vented all the gases instead of actually doing what it needed to do. And
It was
forget what the
94
other
and
one
96
was.
when that happened. Yeah, it was a car bomb. It was a car bomb down a couple of floors below the basement, but didn't. But that was an excuse. We had no business. There was no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. We had no business going into Iraq or war with Iraq. I mean, it was Al Qaeda. It was Afghanistan. It was Bin Laden. It had nothing to do with Saddam Hussein. It had nothing to do with Iraq. It had nothing to do with, but Bush and his cronies manufactured, or I don't want to say manufactured. They took statistical data manipulated it, presented it to the Congress as if there was, and that Iraq was, supporting Al Qaeda, and that, was supporting bin Laden, and they were, sort of like Iraq supports Hamas, Iran supports Hamas. Iraq was supporting Al Qaeda, but it wasn't true. It was manufactured. We did this huge 20-year war in Iraq for absolutely no reason. It was Al Qaeda in Afghanistan. And what happened? What happened when we went and we got rid of? I mean, Saddam Hussein was no saint. I mean, I'm not sad that he died, but we created a huge power vacuum.
Kurds, and
yeah,
when he did the sarin gas on those Kurds, and
he was a monster. Yeah, but he wasn't 9/11. And what happened when we got rid of him? ISIS.
Yeah, the whole Islamic State. It's definitely a worse situation than it was before.
Yeah,
in my personal opinion. Okay, question for everyone: in a hand-to-hand combat situation, which cookie would you use as your best weapon?
A scone.
Not
those things
bad.
Hurt.
Pointed.
They hurt.
They're pointed. You could take out an eye, Chris.
I'd have to say biscuit.
Biscuit, because it's hard.
Hard, and they're a little longer. You can use it like a knife.
Oh, you could. Yeah,
shove it in their eye hole.
Yeah, I was gonna say a Twinkie or something, anything with a lot of filling in it, like one of those cream donuts or something, with like the raspberry jelly inside it. So
are you gonna calorie them to death?
No, I'm gonna stick it in their eyes so they can't see, and then I'm gonna try to dig that jelly in behind their eyeballs, just like squish that shit in there. So I think a jelly donut is the way to go.
It's a little late for me to be saying, parents, please take your kids out of the room before we talk about cookies, because it's not going to go the way you think.
Yes. All right. So what's bothered me a bit about Israel and Gaza is that I am not hearing enough about the Ukraine anymore. And I'm not a big news watcher, so maybe I'm just missing it. But how do you feel, our resident expert on the subject, Chris Thompson, about the war in Ukraine and our responsibilities there?
Oh, that's even kind of a trickier one, because with Israel, at least we have like kind of a defense agreement, but with Ukraine, they're kind of alone. They're not part of NATO. We kind of have like a friendly agreement where we train them and stuff, but it's not like an actual defense pact or anything like that. They're not doing too hot as of late. Recently there have been news reports, and even earlier today or yesterday, they said, yeah, we're kind of at a standstill. They're going to try to take Crimea back, but they said they found a lot more Russians than they expected, so it kind of is a standstill. Russia, just a few days ago, they had one of their largest drone strikes ever carried against Ukraine, injuring 5. But yeah, it's been kind of rough. Our responsibilities of that are, I mean, we're kind of, you look at the F-16s and stuff we're selling to our allies, and we're kind of making money off of it from third hand. We're not selling directly to Ukraine, but some of the allies in their area are giving them planes, and we're selling those guys planes to replace those planes. So it's kind of a third party, fourth party, trickle down effect.
I sold the crack to Joe, and Joe sold the crack to John, and John sold the crack.
John cut it with something, and
I actually I'm a pacifist, but I still I think God, I don't even know. It's not like I have any information, so don't listen to me, because I don't even think about these things very hard. I don't think about anything very hard. My brain, I put a lot of holes in it in my 20s, not with bullets or anything, drugs. But anyway, Ukraine. I have the sticker on the back of my car, man. I mean, I think we should support those guys. I think the more dead Russians, the better. But that's only my opinion, because I'm repeating it verbatim from my wife's father, who gave me the sticker. No, but I'm serious. I think you know, that's a democratic country that has fought hard to uh, distance itself from the Russian Empire. And even if that happened in the United States, if California decided that they didn't want to be a part of the federal system anymore or something like that, I would support that. And if it was a democratically, if you know, we went through all the constitutional ways that we're supposed to do that, which I you know, I think they did. I think they did. I don't know, but I think the
Well,
Ukraine deserves our help from, and I think Russia
Ukraine,
just blatantly attacking them the way they did, was invading them, was gross.
well, Ukraine kind of came out of the ashes of the SSR when the curtain fell, and that and they had some of the things too, where the kind of the international surrounding community decided what kind of land they wanted. Part of that was the Crimea, which is that thing that sparked this all off back in 2014. A huge strategic advantage to Russia for them to own that, because it's a huge naval port. They don't have anything really in the south in that area.
Tell me what an
So
annexation is. The annexation of
an
Crimea, I always
annexation
hear.
annexation is where you kind of liberate the area. You kind of take it for your own, or like, well, we have enough of people who are pro us anyway, so we're going to kind of take it over. Of course, prior to that annexation, there was a lot of Russian migrants moving in there, so it was kind of a like, okay, was it really that, or did you move a bunch of people there and then claim it? So again, it's Russia and Ukraine is also one of those information battles too, where what we see, whether it be social media or the news or something, may or may not be entirely genuine.
Well,
Do
think
you
of the
think?
southern border. I live in San Diego, which is a huge border town, and very, very close to our border, National City, Chula Vista, South Bay. There are a lot of Mexicans there. There are. If Mexico were to annex San Diego and say, well, this area of San Diego has more Mexicans than white people, so it's okay, really, because we're just liberating the Mexicans that live in this part of, California. Would the United States be okay with that?
I
Oh, heck
don't think
no.
so. No, no, I don't think we
So
would.
why should Ukraine be okay with, well, there's already, so many ethnic Russians and so forth living in our border, so it's okay if they come and take it.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So the question I have is for the history of war in general, has it always been an information battle? Has it always been a propaganda battle? Has it always been a what's the truth battle? Or is this something new from like World War II or the invention of film? Or how much of wars has always been that?
Well, to an extent, there always has been an information battle. As far as we have,
Or a
you know,
disinformation battle is
written
what I
technology
meant
or
to say.
disinformation, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at World War II, for instance. Look at all of the support that Hitler got, and a lot of the stuff that wasn't making it, wasn't necessarily false information. They just weren't giving them information of to how things were coming apart. Especially with those camps and rounding everybody up and everything like that. So that was just to garner support from his own people, and then for the rest of the world, hey, they're telling everybody, hey, we're the supreme race, we're doing this great in battle and everything, kneel before us, as they're sweeping across Europe. Part of any kind of war has been propaganda or fear or some sort of information or misinformation. So, I mean, look at how we defeated them. We started getting there when we broke the Enigma. We started letting them have a win here and there, but we were actually onto them and figuring out where to put our people and resources once we found out how to break their code. But we would let them have a win once in a while, so they weren't suspicious about it and had to redo their cipher. So it's been a huge part in everything, especially the newer you come this day and age, the faster information spreads. Everybody's got a capability of sending raw footage live stream to the world, but then it comes down to people speculating and picking it apart and maybe not interpreting what's exactly going on. So you got to make sure you're putting some pretty good information with that.
It's probably a much more serious part of the game, since the invention of film and World War II and then the internet. It's become a joke almost. It's too hard to decipher the information. Obviously, when you break it down with Israel, it's simple. A horrible slaughter of young children happened at what was meant to be a beautiful, peace-loving rave. That has got to piss your country off, and it did, and here we are. Question number 2. Would you rather fuck a duck or a chicken? Now you gotta pick one. A duck or a chicken? Tyson.
Well, I'm gonna say a duck because it just rhymes with fuck, so I feel like that's
my answer.
Plus, I hear they have bigger cloacas.
See, being in the military, I like a target-rich environment, and their chickens are more abundant. So
that's a great answer. I love it. I was going to let you off with you could pick another animal, but that's fantastic. And if I had to pick another animal, you know the answer. Everybody knows the answer, right? 1, 2, 3, sheep. All right.
Of course, it's a sheep.
In the Middle East, they'd say goats, but whatever.
Oh, really? Is that true? Goats?
Well, I
don't want my girlfriend to go when that's not what I mean.
It's not much farther from the sheep going bah.
Well, if you're fucking a chicken, it's like buck, buck, buck. I mean, come on.
No, there was a non-politically correct nickname for one of the many non-politically correct nickname for the Al Qaeda and insurgents that were trying to kill Americans and whatnot. It was one of them was goat fuckers. So
goat effers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do they have sheep over there?
The only animals I saw there were falcons and camels. So and a couple sun scorpions, or otherwise known as camel spiders. So I didn't.
Wow.
A couple fennec foxes, but
foxes.
I don't know if they have sheep over there.
Yeah, probably not. If goat effer was the preferred nomenclature. So you were deployed six different times in your career. Is that true?
That's true. Yeah.
Can you tell?
Throughout the last 16 years.
Can you tell me all the different places that you've been?
3 of them were to undisclosed locations in the Middle East.
Okay.
Not necessarily secret. It's just they kind of have a cap. Person to person, I can say, but I don't really want to put that out there.
Yeah.
And then being in the Air Force, we got some fun ones. I got to go to Poland once. That was nice. I also got to do a deployment to Puerto Rico, and there was a mission there that was supporting drug interdiction, which was kind of neat. So, and
my
then
agency
another
does
one
a little bit of that.
Yeah, is that a Coast Guard?
Isn't
Coast
that
Guard,
a big part of what that was sarcasm? I
We do a little bit of drug interdiction.
It's a little bit, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So when the Coast Guard confiscates it, do they do a little bit? Sorry.
Well, what makes it back to port. No, I'm kidding. I don't want that to get out there. No,
I know you're kidding.
Of course, they take it
kidding. We're trying to keep this light. We're doing a show on war, so come on.
Now Chris will recognize the shirt I'm wearing because both the Coast Guard and the Air Force wear the same the tropical blues.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, different epaulets, different name tags, and you have the I forget the collar device, which we don't wear a collar device, but the exact same, but the same uniform, the same tropical blue long that you wear. So
that's how the Air Coast Guard saves money, is they copy somebody else.
We're gonna get into it. I feel it coming on.
I knew that was gonna happen.
Well, and I would be a lieutenant, not a captain, which is,
Yeah,
you know,
I know E3 03 is lieutenant in Navy and Coast Guard. And for an Air Force guy, I actually do pay attention to ranks. We're the only branch that doesn't have warrant officers. So
oh, I did not know that.
He actually, I just completely forgot what I was thinking about. Sorry. I got one more question for you guys. Would you rather live your whole life in an RV or spend your whole life selling people RVs?
That's pretty easy. I think I would rather live in an RV than sell RVs. I've often said, you know, I know a lot of people love, you know, I've got a 3-story home on 2 acres of land, and you know, when I retire, I would love to retire with an RV and an American Express card and just, you know, travel the
awesome.
continent.
Yeah,
It'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
I'd have to be in
But
agreement
you
to that
said,
RV.
yeah, but you said when you retire. I said your whole life, from the time you are a little child to the time you are a very, very old man. You have to live in an RV or sell them from the time you are
A little bitty
age.
So
child
are
all
you-
the way
No,
through.
from the time
4-year-old
owning,
hair slicked back.
for your old
Are you
man.
toying
Yeah,
child labor law with making child sell RVs?
yeah,
Isn't there some legalities with
your old
I don't
man.
get my lollipop until you buy this fucking RV, assholes. And you're gonna buy it.
Exactly.
Then I get the booby, all right?
Your old
my
man
dinner
runs the RV shop, and he uses you as child labor with the lollipop. Exactly. That's exactly the question. But okay, so live in one. I guess I'd go with live in one too, because I just couldn't handle selling.
Well, have you seen
RVs.
some of those
Oh.
RVs?
They're beautiful. Yeah.
Some of them are just they're worth 3 times my house, and I've got a 4-bed house. You know, it's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Huge bands like live in them most of their lives. So yeah, famous rock stars hang out in them. Maybe I should have picked a better question. Okay, back to war.
That's an easy transition, right? Okay, forget the RVs. We're talking about the war in Ukraine.
Well,
I mean, they're kind of related.
a little bit. I mean, they're good. They're good for blocking. You know, setting up blocking formations.
And as we and I want to be clear because Lolly put something in the chat earlier, and I completely agree, and I want to be very, very clear.
Okay.
When I talk about the Russians, the Israelis, the Palestinians, I am referring to their governments, their political, you know, who their leaders are. I'm not talking about the people of the state. I think the Russian people are very sweet. I have a lot of Russian friends, people who came here from Russia, people who came from Russia.
Me too.
So and from Israel and from Palestine and from everywhere else. I'm really talking about their leaders, their government. So I just want to put that out there so that nobody gets
Well,
hurt.
and you even got honor among enemies with the troops. Like, we don't absolutely hate our enemy troops. We just have a goal. We have opposing goals, and unfortunately, you know, we have to get through each other to get to those goals. There's a
Right.
there's a bunch of respect for our military counterparts in opposing nations, but not necessarily
Yeah.
their leadership.
Do you think that, Christopher, that mankind in general, given enough time on this planet, will ever stop war?
At some point, I have a feeling that it might end up being something along the lines of, I mean, alien invasion. Like, well, crap. If we don't band together, we will die. You know, so it might have to be a forced alliance that ends up staying because we need to.
You see that? You see the deep state guy drop an alien invasion on us already.
I was waiting for that one.
You want to hear a military secret? They're real. Now,
Yeah.
Who's going to tell you that? But
Yeah.
they're real. And 1947
Manu.
happened.
Yeah, they're real, and there's a bunch of different types of them, and not all of them are hostile. In fact, probably none of them, but that's my opinion. But they're going to drop that bomb. Actually, there's a story, and it's not just a story, it's the truth. What's his name's daughter? Who was the guy that we brought in to build the V2 rockets from Germany?
Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun, on his deathbed, tells his daughter the last card they're going to play with the war machine to keep the economy going, to keep inflation going, etc., is they're going to create a war against the aliens. The aliens are not, he said, we're not alone in this world, and they're going to try to convince the rest of us to kill them, and they're not hostile. So I don't know how they're going to pull that off, but I don't want to be here when it happens because I don't want to kill any aliens. If an alien landed in my backyard, and even if he looked totally scary and he had like 32 dicks with eyeballs on the ends of them, and he was reaching out for me going, I would still be going, hi. And I'd be like reaching for one of those eyeball dicks. And I'd be like, will you please just let me have one ride on your ship to a different galaxy? Please.
Well, think of where humans have gone. We've gone to the moon 5, 6 times, and we're going to go back in 2025 if the starships don't keep blowing up. And okay, so if that's where humanity is, then an alien who's come from a completely different solar system, right? Not even completely different solar system. If that is their level of technology, what am I going to do if an alien shows up in my backyard? He's already got superiority on his technological intelligence, etc., on his side. If he wants me dead, I'm going to be dead. I'm not going to what can you do? If they were here to eradicate us,
they would
came
have
from
done
another
it.
star. They would have done it
by now.
Yeah, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it.
Yeah.
I got a comment. I got to reply to a comment by Dennis here.
Cool.
I don't know if wars necessarily cause technology or caused by theology. Oh, I misread that. I'm sorry, Dennis. Technology. Wars spawns technology. A lot of technology.
Yeah, they do.
Like the atom bomb.
They do, big time.
But
like everything.
but it was theology,
the internet. Yeah. He said theology, not technology.
Yeah, theology. I misread it.
Well, he's right about both. I mean, theology causes a lot of wars because the name of God seems to piss so many people off, which I find utterly ridiculous. You said that earlier backstage, Chris, and I agreed with you wholeheartedly. But technology, I've always wondered if that could be the solution to war. If we decided to put all the money that we put into tech without there being an enemy to fight, to beat. And we just decided as a world, like the US space station, right? We're going to put all our money into tech for the right reasons instead of to beat the hell out of somebody. A lot of great tech comes out of war that can serve us in wonderful ways. And you'd think we could come up with a system where people mostly agree that technology, for the most part, can be a good thing. And if we, as a nation, decided to put a certain amount of our gross national product or whatever into technology, but without fighting wars, if we signed like a peace agreement, but you'd think we'd come up with even better technology because we
how much money have we
so
given during these wars to Ukraine? Now, I'm on Ukraine's side, by the way. I just want to be clear about that. But look at all the money we gave because Russia decided to attack Ukraine. If that hadn't happened, all that money would still be here. What could we have done with that? How many hungry people could we have fed? How much more could we have given to NASA to reinvigorate the space program? How many peacekeeping, all that money could go to much better things, but instead we had to give it. And I do believe we had to give it. But because of what if Russia didn't do that? Look at all the money Russia has spent. Look at all the money Ukraine has spent. Look at all the money.
A lot of players on the whole region.
Yeah. Couldn't that have fed the hungry?
China. Think how much China spent building all those freaking man-made islands. I mean, that was...
we turned back into sandbars. I mean...
Yeah.
Freedom of
That's it.
navigation, my friend. Freedom of navigation. That's the key
Well,
word.
look at all the
Yeah.
look at all the money that the Chinese are putting into their Coast Guard cruisers. Have you
Calm
seen
down.
the pictures of some of those Chinese Coast Guard vessels that are about the size of a cruiser? It's like,
Oh yeah.
why does a Coast Guard vessel need to be that big?
Well, the Chinese Coast Guard, there's a lot of nefarious things there. We do have some giant Coast Guard vessels, but those are deep water vessels, and there's legitimate reasons for them. But for the Chinese to have as many as they do, and their purpose is not the Coast Guard's purpose. The Coast Guard
Yeah,
used
they
to be
harass.
right. We used to be the Revenue
harass
Tax
fishermen.
Service and the U.S. Life Saving Service. Those were two separate services, and they joined together. The U.S. Life Saving Service was non-military. The Revenue Tax Cutter Service was military. It was very much military, and it goes back to 1790. Which, if you look at the crossed anchors on the Coast Guard logo, it says 1790. That actually dates back to the Revenue Cutter Service. But when those services joined in the early 1900s, they became the U.S. Coast Guard, which is a military organization. But our principles are still very much the same: saving lives, from people who vessels that go down, protecting our ports, preventing illegal immigration and drug seizure and human trafficking. And however, there's also a military purpose to it. As Chris knows, you'll find the Coast Guard at every port all over the world where the U.S. has assets and interests. The U.S. Coast Guard is there. They're there to guard it.
They're also running up and down rivers with military alongside Navy and Marines. They have those little gunboats that they work with, so they're providing help there too.
So how far back does your family go? I know you've served 16 years. How far back in your family is service in the military go?
We go back every generation to at least the French and Indian War.
Which
I
was
found
around?
What's that?
When was the French and Indian War? Around 17 something?
Yeah. Since before the United States was the United States.
Wow.
I found a newspaper clipping. It was a Ripley's Believe It or Not article from mentioned my grandfather. We had one of those genealogy projects for middle and high school, and I found this clipping, and it was kind of cool because it talked about his dad and his grandpa and his grandpa's grandpa, so on and so forth. The French and Indian War have been in the military. My dad served Air Force. One of my uncles was in the Army, and I've been about 16 years in the reserve, give or take a few months.
Wow. So how many top secret projects can you share with us in the next 9 minutes?
0, because I've never been exposed to anything.
Says the Black Ops guy. I'm just kidding, Chris. I love you. But I know you know something. I know you know something. You're a smart guy. You're compartmentalized, but you know what that thing is that you're working on.
It's called retirement.
I'm with Chris.
Yeah, I actually believe you guys. All right, I got another question. Would you rather have the ability to pee with deadly force, or would you rather have the ability to hold your farts for a week or even longer and then aim them with superior accuracy for
Farts.
long distances?
Because if I could pee with deadly force, that would A, wreck toilets, and B, splash. And you know how wives don't like splashing.
It would cause all sorts of problems, wouldn't it? That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, you could power wash the house.
With pee.
Yeah,
okay,
no,
first of all, let me be clear about this. Every guy knows what I'm talking about. If you ever go into a bathroom and you go pee and you realize the toilet could use a little cleaning around the rim, you kind of aim it, you fire hose it down a little bit. Don't pretend like you guys have never done that.
Oh, I did it yesterday. You know what? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you a true story. I did a good favor for a friend of mine that was homeless in LA. I had my apartment in LA for like a whole year while I was coming back and forth to Colorado. I finally got rid of it. The last couple months, I let my buddy who was homeless stay there. When I got back there for a couple weeks to, do the movers and empty the stuff out, pack the boxes, he had left one of those marks. And it took a good 20, 30, fill-ups to clean that damn thing off. And I wasn't going to take a brush. I wasn't going to be that guy. That's his duty. That's not mine.
So over the course of 3 days, you power washed it 20 seconds at a time, is what I'm hearing.
And I finally got that damn thing. And I was like, yes. So peeing with deadly accuracy, it could be. But no, I'm going with the farts too. I've always wanted to aim my farts. If you could aim your fart from like 3 blocks away and get it right up somebody's nostril, that would be probably the best superpower in the world.
Well, if you have a fart and this, now we're talking.
Now you're talking deadly on both sides, right?
Flamethrower.
Okay. Final question for the war show. Define your version of love, Chris Thompson.
Ooh.
You can take your time. Don't have to answer right away. Dennis Scotch says scrubbing bubbles. Just fill that bowl right up. Scrubbing bubbles. That's the product.
Weird definition of love, but okay.
Well, thanks to Manu, I can never drink goat's milk again.
No, that's Chris. I didn't say anything about goats.
Oh, thank you, Chris. This is milk, right?
I'd say that my definition of love.
Yeah.
When you find someone you just connect with and just click with, you don't have to be all like. You don't necessarily have to think about them every moment of the day. They don't have to be like, oh my God, they're so wonderful. But if you find someone who just gets you and you get them back, and you could just know you could support each other and everything, I think that's what good love is.
Dig it. Tyson.
I feel that love, it's one of those feelings that you know it instinctually. Like when you've seen a kitten that's born or a puppy that's born, automatically know how to get to their mother's teat and nurse. Like there's no training, there's no taught, they just know to do it. Love is a thing that's just known to you. And I feel like when you try to describe it, you devalue it. Like if I could say, I love you because, and then fill in that blank, that's not, I love you because you have money. I love you because you're cute. I love you because, if you can say I love you because, I don't know that that's love. Love is that which cannot be described, but you know it when you feel it.
Also a good answer. If you were a god for a day, I know I said final question, but we got a couple minutes left. If you were God for a day, what would you change? Chris Thompson. 24 hours, you're God. What do you change?
I'd reverse the bank bailout of 2008 and erase all debt.
Fantastic. I'd stop the Federal Reserve System.
Yeah. Take it all the way. Just take it down.
Very similar goals.
Yeah. I'd also give us wings and tails because sex would be hot. Tyson.
Well, maybe this is a twofer, but I think I'd get rid of war and hunger. I think those are the two biggest. No, I know that's a Miss America answer, and I don't mean to give a Miss America answer.
Tyson, that's the answer I was looking for at the end of the show.
No.
Because this was a show on war. And are we ever going to get over it? Are we ever going to be more empathy than apathy? Are we ever going to stop killing each other? We are all the same things made of the same stuff. and we have always been kingdoms, serfs, etc. Different words, different labels, different systems, but the same damn thing. And I hope that someday we get over that. So if I was God for a day, absolutely get rid of the war. And what was the other one? End hunger.
End hunger. Yeah.
Which I believe we have both the ability to do if we band together band together and make it happen. But it's hard because there is a big system out there that doesn't want those things to happen. And in fact, if those things did happen, they'd lose a hell of a lot of money. And that's where we sit at this moment in time. So what's exciting is we have a chance to fix that. Chris is in a position that he can have an effect on that. I'm in a position that I can have an effect on that. Tyson, you're in a position that you can have an effect on that just by who we talk to, what we say, how we vote, what we do on this show, what we do every day, how we treat people. And the more we talk about this stuff, the better we are. It's hard to talk about war. It's hard to talk about death and tragedy. I applaud you for coming on last minute, Chris, and helping us do this show.
No
and
problem.
everybody else that listens to Dangerous Thoughts, I applaud you as well. Do we have any callers before we cut the show?
Yes.
All right, let's take them.
Up first, we have Dave, Incognito Dave.
Okay, Dave, don't want to show your face. Want to jack off while you talk about war? Fine with me, weirdo.
I was on the freaking can, for God's sake. Good grief.
What is this with pooping tonight? We're all pooping.
Well,
I'm taking a shit, but hi, here I am.
No, I was just doing a number one, so it's all good.
Okay, well, I'll tell you. I don't know about Chris because Chris is a badass. You can see him. He's military. He's got the word trigger. He's trained. Boom.
I was saying when you said we were having Chris on, I didn't realize
I
it was
love
the Chris
it.
that I met.
Trigger.
Look, man, I'm a Second Amendment guy, but if it went down, I might do a little pee-pee poo-poo myself. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, no, I was just thinking earlier in the conversation about the first attack at the World Trade Center was February 26, 93. I was a junior in high school when that happened. But you guys were talking about like World War II propaganda. The first thing that popped in my head was all the Disney and Looney Tunes, like World War II videos and stuff, like particularly the Bugs Bunny Gremlin cartoon. And saying they were pushing those really hard. Some of them they don't even like air anymore because they're
Bugs
too
Bunny would be
sensitive.
hit. Bugs
Oh,
Bunny.
I have those on VHF.
Yeah,
My parents had those.
yeah, they were great.
Right on.
I remember Bugs Hitler.
Oh yeah, there was one channel I think on YouTube it actually does still like stream some of those, and I was just like, oh my God, that is so insensitive. But at the time, you had to poke fun at the enemy.
And
Just
some
that.
of the best German cinema is their propaganda films from the time.
Mhm.
They're disgusting and they're horrible, but they're amazing films.
Yeah, but like that
but
Bugs
yeah,
Bunny Gremlin one that has one of his best little bits. Ha! Woo! Yee! Ha! Woo! As they're spiraling to their deaths.
And then you got even like later on you had Hogan's Heroes, and
Ugh.
Oh yeah, I love
Colonel
that.
Plank was played by a Jew. He's like, I get a chance to make fun of them. This is great.
it's awesome.
Oh, Clink was my favorite, and Schultz was hilarious.
I know nothing.
I know
hear
nothing.
I see nothing.
Nothing.
Colonel Hogan.
Hey, if you guys
Captain Hogan, I don't know.
if you guys haven't watched, now this isn't about Hogan's Heroes, but it's about the guy who sold the show and came up with the idea for the show. He also was the producer and got the famous what's it called film, the famous mafia film, The Godfather made. And there's a show called The Offer on Paramount Plus. It's a wonderful show. I highly recommend it. Check it out. Dave, did you have any other questions for our guest?
That's
right.
it.
Okay, we got 2 more people tonight, and then we got to go. I'm not going overtime again. Katie, how are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Define love.
In my opinion, love can't be defined.
Cool.
It's a universal thing that is just present. It's like oxygen. It's there, but you can't feel you can't see it. It's not tangible in that sense.
Do you think it's growing or shrinking? Or staying?
Depends who you ask. Me personally, I always like to think of it as growing throughout the world and throughout the cosmos. But other people would say the complete opposite. So it all depends who you ask and what's in somebody's heart when you ask them that question.
Okay. Do you have any questions for our top CIA deep state operative?
I do. Earlier on, Manu asked about
Look, I'm sorry.
like
For all
war
I know,
ending.
for all I know, Chris is absolutely how I'm describing him. I have no idea. I
I'm
pretty
a
much
weekend warrior in the chair force.
I pretty
How
much
many civil wars have you started?
I pretty much think he's a really cool guy. He actually has invested in Star Crew. He comes out to Colorado. He drills out here, and for the kids over at the Air Force Base up the road here. Great dude. I don't think he's a deep state secret holder. I wish he was, or I'd bug him more often about the secrets. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's fine. Now earlier on Manu asked you about like will war ever end? And kind of jumping off that, like barring alien invasion, if we just take that out of the equation for now, do you think there is ever going to be a time when all of humanity will actually come together and get along and accept everyone for who they are rather than trying to push their ideals on other people and just have at it and live?
Eventually. So the aliens was tongue in cheek. War is going to be. I think it's one of those things that's going to be seemingly endless, but yeah, at some point we're going to come and go like, well, this is stupid. We're all on the same rock hurtling through this cosmos. We got ec- resources. We're all made of, water, carbon, and iron, and a few more minerals and stuff. Why are we killing each other over some invisible guy in the sky?
Exactly.
And his
Eventually, at some point, I'm sorry.
and his oil and opium. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Well,
let's not forget the opium.
The more we come to different energy sources, and I'm not talking about wind or solar or things. So I mean, there's nuclear energy, which is safe. There's lots of other options, but so far we're still very heavily fossil dependent. So as technology progresses and as we find we don't need certain resources as much, as well as figure out how to set aside our race, color, creed, orientation, whatever things aside, and just accept person based off of what I mean. One of the things someone asked me, well, you're in the military, you must hate gay people. Well, no, one of my best friends is gay, and then they followed up with, well, if you and your best friend were in a foxhole shooting, wouldn't you be worried about him looking at your ass? I'm like, why would he be looking at my ass? We're both fighting for our life. My ass is the last thing on his mind.
Yeah, there are bullets coming at me,
whatever,
but you know what? I'm gonna ignore the bullets and look at your butt for a minute. Really?
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, you're really going to pervert someone when you're fighting for your life,
Right.
But
to answer Katie's question, eventually at some point. I just don't know if any of us will see it in our lifetimes. I don't even know
What
if
we
my
have
children
to
will see
do-
it in their lifetime.
What we have
will
to do is stop seeing other people as other people. When we can see each other as we see ourselves, that's when it will stop.
We have an uncanny knack of dehumanizing each other through the use of different words and different phrases, and it's disgusting. And hopefully we get over it someday. I liked your answer, Chris. We're going over time. I don't want to keep doing this, so let's take our last caller. Here he is.
What's up?
Oh no, more
Hey,
Chris's.
real quick.
Oh, you're muted.
Chris Leftwich, you're muted for one. Second off, I have a question for you. Would you rather have dicks for fingers or dicks for toes?
Toes.
Toes.
Yeah, toes.
Why?
Oh wait, Al. No. I
Well,
guess
how
I
would
pinch
you
my
how
finger
would
more
you
than I
you know
stub my
like hug
toe.
your mom? I mean, that's kind of.
Ooh.
I think toes.
Toes for sure.
Toes. You convinced me with toes with that last hug of your
Fingers
mom.
all the way.
Well,
For a
fingers could
woman,
fingers could be fun down at the strip club.
fingers could be fun for a woman. Give me a break. She's got 10 of them now.
Hi, Grandma. Why are you making that face at me?
Oh my God.
Tyson all day long.
Fuck yeah. Hell, I would learn to
my.
suck my toes for that.
That'd be good exercise.
All right, Leftwich.
What's up?
What's up? What's your question? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing? It's been a great show. Chris,
you.
you are cool. I like you. You're automatically cool.
You are.
Yeah, real quick. I think I've told the DT family about this. And I want to get your opinion on this. Yeah, I'm 50 years old. I was born in 1973. From the time I was born until I was 14 years old, my dad was a DoD contractor for the Air Force. Chanute Air Force Base, Rantoul, Illinois. It was an inactive training base. So we had a lot of people, come in, do their 3 months, get trained, and then go to wherever they need to go. And he was a master instructor. He taught, he started out doing life support, which was anything and everything parachutes. He taught, I believe it was air conditioning and refrigeration. I think he taught that. I know he taught diesel engines, turbine engines. He worked in the age building. He did various things, all through. He was in for 18 years. Well, he worked for them for 18 years as a civilian. And, I was on base 4 times a week, at least, just all the time. But anyway, we lived off base out in the country, out in the middle of the cornfields of Illinois. And one of his students had come back, and Dad invited him over for dinner one night. And it was just him and my mom and dad. I'm an only child. And, me at 7 years old. And he had made it, he was a pilot, and he had made it to top secret classified. He was an SR-71 pilot. Now, this was back when
he had his TS Snowhorn, so yeah.
Okay, yeah. He was an SR-71 pilot, and he told my mom and dad. Now here I am, 7 years old, just running around playing with my Matchbox cars and shit. And he said that the government admits that the SR-71 would fly at Mach 3. He said it would actually do Mach 5. They admit to 80,000 feet as the top, the apogee. He said it could actually go 120,000 feet. Yes. And there were several other things that, he told my mom and dad about that. And another cool thing was he brought us pictures. Now, again, here I am, 7 years old. He brought us pictures, actual, dark room photographs of the YF-12, if you're familiar with that. Yes. And I think that was classified at that time. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know. All I know is he brought us pictures of it, and it was cool as hell. For anybody that doesn't know, it was basically an SR-71 that carried missiles, and they would fly 3 in formation, and they would fly so high that if I'm understanding correctly, if the Russians were to come over to the United States, these things, one, could just drop down, send an air-to-air nuclear missile, take the whole thing out, and go right back up into formation. If I'm thinking correctly.
There was an
Chris.
SR-71 as well, and I'll let you finish your question. But there was an SR-71 that also had the first drone. It was able to launch a drone off the top of its hull.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. The YF-12s, this was way back then. I mean, of course, they're all over the internet now. You can just Google it. But yeah, he showed us that. And I remember going to school. And
But wait a second. You went Chris, and you were about to ask him a question. What was it? I didn't mean to mess you up.
I know what Chris was going to say. He was going to ask Chris. Chris was going to ask Chris about Aurora. And don't lie. Tell us what you really know about Aurora. Come on. Don't BS. Don't BS us.
Yeah,
Aurora, man, that's on the planet Neon. If any of you play Starfield, that's a hell of a drug.
Hey, I play No Man's Sky, man. I want to play Starfield.
Look, I think the Aurora is our technology. I don't think it's alien technology. I think it's ours.
We are years beyond whatever they're going to. How long was the SR-71 a secret? How long was the Wobbling Goblin a secret?
Long time.
How long was the Stealth Fighter a secret?
Almost 20 years.
How long was the U2 a secret?
Yeah. So, do you think we don't have secrets anymore? There's no such thing as a secret plane. Of course, we have secrets. Of course, we have secret planes.
What is that? The TSRB or whatever, that triangle-looking thing.
Same thing, basically. That's the Aurora.
There you go. Okay.
Now, is the Aurora NASA, Air Force? That's the question. Both. Yeah. There's a long history between NASA and the Air Force. The Air Force, and Chris knows this, came from the Army. It was the Army Air Force, then it was the U.S. Air Force, because we've only had flight since 1901, powered flight. So it was the Army Air Force, then it was just the Air Force. Now we have the Space Force. So the Aurora predates the Space Force, so it's either NASA, Air Force, or a combination, or maybe Bigelow Aerospace. Maybe there's some private firms, Skunk Works, Lockheed. Don't know.
Yeah. Dude, growing up on Chanute, there was always NASA there. Not a lot.
Oh yeah,
there was always NASA. Anywhere you see Air Force,
NASA, Air Force, NASA. Navy, they all play together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but don't you think, as far as the 5 arms or the 6?
6 now, Air Force, or Space Force. There's 6.
Space Force. They should have named that. They should have named it
Super Centra.
To be honest,
don't you think
it should have been Starfleet?
That one of it should have been Starfleet, no doubt. Yeah. Don't you think one of those arms is probably the lead arm?
Well, Space Force predates Aurora, and I don't think Aurora was a spacecraft. So if it's military, it falls squarely on Air Force. I'm going to say that, but if it's a lot of test jets and high altitude things involves NASA. Don't ask me how, why, but a lot of that. NASA is supposed to be civilian.
No, NASA's number 7. It's also a war. It is considered a military operation.
It's a civilian research. A lot of it does trickle into military at some point. If not
Atlantis,
most of it. But NASA it's an interesting beast because it serves both civil and military goals.
Yeah.
Right. They do. I mean, look at Skylab. One of the things they did was pharmaceutical research at 0G as one of their. This is predating the International Space Station. Even a lot of the International Space Station stuff was like, is long-term space flight feasible for the human body? They did tests of longevity at space and advanced hydroponics to see how long they could keep crops growing, and they did a lot of interesting research to make sure to benefit not military but mankind, Right. So it's kind of an interesting hybrid between military and civil because it serves both to a degree.
You know who the
Yeah.
chief executive over at NASA is?
Who?
It's the Vice President of the United States.
For real.
Really?
The Vice President is the chief executive of NASA.
I have a
That's
question.
interesting.
I have a
Yeah.
question for Chris, real quick.
All right.
All right.
Get
Okay.
it going. I want to shut the show down.
Okay. We went to the moon, what was it, 6 times? Something like that. When was the last time we were at the moon? Tyson, you're up.
17. I don't know. Apollo.
72 or 73.
Okay,
It was right
72,
around.
73. So 50 years ago. Why didn't we go back?
Because we saw aliens. Buzz Aldrin told me.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, we're
Chris.
going back in 25, but a lot of it was a space race. We won.
Yeah.
You know, when the race is over, you don't keep running.
Well, I mean, yeah, but what,
really
let's say we do go back in 25. What's going to happen when we see shit?
Look, several astronauts that went up there have reported seeing strange lights, UAPs, UFOs, etc. This is documented. You can look it up. I'm super interested to see what we see when we go back and how much we hide from the American public. This has been a great show. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We went 20 minutes overtime again, which is better than usual. And we'll see you next week on Dangerous Thoughts. Thanks for participating, Chris. We'll see you later.